From the burning mesas of the Arizona desert to the slot machine-clad boardwalks of New Jersey, it's the Imaginarium with Scott and Todd. I'm Scott Colbert.
I'm the horror nerd, Todd Staruch.
And we have a couple of lovely guests this week.
We do.
Courtesy of Todd. And before we get to them, there's just a couple of things I want to talk about.
Okay.
And the first is wishing everybody who's a mother a happy Mother's Day.
Yes, Mother's Day is coming up.
So happy birthday to all the mothers and all the mothers.
Happy birthday.
Happy Mother's Day. Shit. Well, my mother.
Some of them have birthdays on Sunday.
It was my mother's birthday last week, so that's what threw me off, I think.
Okay. We'll go with that.
That's my excuse.
All right.
And a happy anniversary to Todd, because it was 1 year ago today that the very first show with Todd as a co-host went on the air.
Wow, has it been a year already?
I know, it seems like 10.
Yeah, it does. Wow.
And I could not ask for a better co-host.
Thank you.
The times that we get together and do this show are some of the best times of my week, which kind of tell you just how crappy my life has been, I suppose. But
Damn.
Wow. Wow.
But
thank you and good night.
Okay, bye.
and this is also his last show.
Wow. Oh,
Anyway,
wow.
I love you, Todd, and I'm certainly glad that you're a part of the show. I couldn't imagine doing the show without you anymore.
Thank you, Scott. I have a lot of fun doing it. It's a fun time.
And with all of that nonsense out of the way, why don't you introduce our guests?
Okay, assuming they're still on after this nonsense.
No,
So,
we're all fine.
all right. Well, this is a show I wanted to do for a long time because I am fascinated by the whole cosplay scene. I have a lot of friends who are cosplayers and models, and they do a lot of conventions and pour a ton of time and work and effort into their costumes. And there's just so much about the hobby that just fascinates me. So on the show today are two local Northeast cosplayers, popular cosplayers that I am proud to be friends with. We on the show today, we have Jessica, otherwise known as JC Cosplay. Hi, Jessica.
Hello.
And we have Alyssa, whose cosplay name is Aralaya Cosplay. Welcome aboard.
Hello.
How are you lovely ladies this evening?
We're all right.
I'm good, besides being here next to this bitch.
Wow, fucking rude.
Wow. Listen, maybe we didn't get the ground rule. What made you think it was okay to curse on the show?
Because we're friends with you, Todd.
Fair enough. Okay, well, fucking A. Let's,
It wouldn't be the Imaginarium without an occasional F-bomb.
True. And I love it when girls swear. It's cool because it's like, oh, thank God you're a human being.
Oh! That's not driving with my mother today. This is a really short story. We were going through some construction, and this guy cut her off. And now my mother occasionally swears, but I've never heard her say anything really. She doesn't have my language, let me put it that way. Well, this guy pissed her off so much, she rolls down the window and yells out, "You stupid cocksucker!"
Oh, shit.
And my mom was 75.
That's awesome.
They had to give me resuscitation. I had a heart attack hearing her say that.
That is awesome.
That's
So-
great.
All
So
right.
on that note,
So, Jessica, we'll start on you first.
Oh, no.
Yes. So when did you decide to get started in cosplay, and what sparked your interest in it?
Well, it was like 6 years ago that I started. Yeah, at New York Comic Con this year marks 6 years. I got into it because my boyfriend, he he went to a convention 7 years ago, and he came back, and I had no idea what Comic-Cons were. I didn't know what I just didn't know this world existed. And he came back and he was showing me pictures of cosplayers and brought home like figures and Gundams and artwork, and he just brought back all this stuff, and I was like, what the heck is this? I had no idea this was even a thing. So his friend told me, he's like, yeah, like you should go, like you love Pokemon and you love Mortal Kombat, like this is something you could do. And after that, I went to a convention the next year, and that's just kind of what kicked it off. Oh, I dropped stuff. My bad. But yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm not graceful. But yeah, that's how I started.
And what is it about cosplay that you love? Like, why do you keep doing it?
Well, I keep doing it because there's still a lot of characters that I'm obsessed with and that I love. So I think until I finish all the characters I want to do, I'll keep cosplaying. It's I don't know. I love what I do, and I love the friends that I've made from it.
Like me.
No, I've known Alyssa before I started cosplaying. But yeah, no, I mean, that's why I do it. Like, it's awesome that you can meet people that have the same interests as you and understand how weird you are. So there's always that. Like, people just get you.
I don't, but that's why we're
whatever.
doing the show. So. Wow. All right. Alyssa, how about you?
What was the first part of this question? Because Jess has talked forever.
Wow.
When did you start cosplaying, and why did you decide to get into it?
So I first started for New York Comic Con 2012, and it was Jess who messaged me, and she knew I loved Jessica Negri, and she was like, oh, Jessica Negri is going to be at New York Comic Con. Buy your ticket and come with me. And I literally bought my ticket a month. I think it was September. And I was like, okay, I bought my ticket. And then I was like, all right, now to find a costume. And that was when you can buy your ticket a month before the convention.
Yeah. Those are the good old days where you can buy your Comic-Con ticket, like, out the door.
Yeah, not anymore.
Nope. Now it's Heart Attack Central.
I know. And...
so I won't gloat about having a press pass then.
Nah.
Wow! Wow, I know you're going to get us some.
Oh, you heard that, huh?
Yup. Oh, yeah, I heard that.
Okay.
Nah, just not going anymore. Yeah, I did that and stalked her, the good stuff.
Yes.
And then I was hooked, and now I'm trapped forever.
Screw this hobby.
I know, I can never leave. Especially when there's somebody who's always forcing you to make her shit.
Wow, rude.
Wow, so when did you guys get married?
We've been
Or
married.
you just act like an old married couple?
It's only been 4 years?
I think it's been 4 years.
I thought it was 5 years.
Maybe it's 5 years.
I think
We've
it's
been married for like 5 years.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, that's legal now and everything, so...
True.
Yeah, but
True.
Alyssa, on the plus side, Alyssa looks like a man, so...
Also true.
Yeah, so we were able to pass it off as a
normal
heterosexual
couple for a while.
I have photographic evidence to the contrary. Just saying.
Damn, he's ruining our plans.
Seriously, bro.
Sorry. Scott, see what you're missing being all the way out in Arizona?
I'm telling you, I think I made the wrong move. I think I need to go back east.
Nah, East sucks.
Yes, it does.
Actually, everywhere sucks.
Yeah.
So, do you have a favorite character that you like to cosplay as?
For me, it's Jean Grey. I love Jean Grey. She's waifu for life.
I like being Jackal because it's really ugly, but also really attractive at the same time.
Oh my god, that Jackal costume! Holy
Yeah,
crap!
I get to be terrifying. So many people were scared of me. It was wonderful.
You
so
were
many people ran away from me.
She was hiding behind people, and
It
then
was
they would
so
turn around
great.
and they'd be like,
Oh my god, it was
What
like
the
a
fuck?
dream come true. Making people run away from me.
That's
Oh,
cool.
so great.
It was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome.
Okay, so I'm not gonna harass you guys too much, but
Liar.
okay, fair enough.
It's a little
So
late for that.
yeah, listen. So, God, I don't even know. I have so many questions. So, but one that a lot of my cosplay friends hear all the time, and one that I see people post on social media. I pay them.
It's all right. I do too.
You don't have friends.
Nice.
I have to pay them.
Yep. And there's also Photoshop, so I can make it look like I have all sorts of people that I hang out with.
Yep.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Yes.
So I'm sure I had a question somewhere. Oh, okay. So so every cosplayer says, "Oh, it's about the character, it's about the hobby, it's about portraying the character. It's not about sex, it's not about boobs." Yet every single picture is nothing but massive cleavage. Now, I happen to be a fan of boobs and cleavage, so
You.
yeah, imagine that. But so how do you address that? Now, I understand you have a right to wear whatever you want and photograph and do whatever you want, but I just find it interesting that cosplayers protest that it's not about that, yet the vast majority are the so-called sexy cosplays. Like you brought up Jessica Negri. I don't think there's a picture of her fully clothed. So how do you address that sort of dichotomy there? And
Well,
that's a big word. If you have to take a minute and look it up, it's okay.
wow. He thinks we're stupid. Oh. Well, here's the thing. We'll say like 90% of female comic book characters are sexy. So that's just the truth of it. I mean, if you see a character like Power Girl, super strong, super smart, but she's got big boobs, like they're there.
Boob window.
Boob window, there's and I think the new Power Girl even has a boob window, but she's a little bit not as gifted in that area. But the thing is, like, people don't understand, and they I guess they forget that most of these female characters are sexualized, and they also don't realize that yes, it's a female's body. We're not doing it to impress men. We're really doing it for ourselves, and I think a lot of people forget that, because I know when I'm designing like my pinup costumes, I'm like, I love pinup. I love everything about pinup. Like, they're very sexy, but they're classy. They're not there, showing their vaginas. They're not there like spreading their butts. Like, they're just, it's tasteful, and it's not done. I mean, when I'm designing it, I'm not like, oh, what guys do I have to impress? No, it's not like that at all. This is what makes me feel good. This is what I'm going to do because I want to look good for myself. I don't cosplay to look good for other people. And, it's dumb because people say this about women, but they forget that there's a lot of guys that have shirtless costumes, like the Spartans from 300, because you see a lot of Spartan cosplayers. You see a lot of, like, I'm trying to think of other males that I see. I mean, there's like a Magikarp that runs around in just boxers and a big Magikarp head. So, I mean, people tend to have a problem with women doing it, but guys do it too. They're just not noticed as much as girls are. So, I don't know. That's just how I think about it. But also somebody like Jessica Negri, she does the sexy costumes also, but she also has her costumes like, what's that costume called?
The one with multiple hands that's fully covered.
Well, yeah, there's that one. I don't even know what that is. I think it's like a League costume. I don't know.
It's from Battleborn, or I don't know, some other game that just came out.
Yeah, and her what's her Deathwing or something? Or
oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah, like, people are so focused on boobs showing, but they're not looking at any other aspect of it. I know for my new pinup cap, my cap 2.0, people are like, wow, well, your boobs are hanging out, like, blah, 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 but they don't look at the construction of the costume. They don't understand the concept of the costume. So people that judge it don't understand it, and they don't really matter. I don't really care what people think. Like, if they think I'm doing it to be sexy and to impress them, they're wrong. And if they think any girl does it to impress them and be sexy for them or do whatever they want, like they're just misinformed and they're just being stupid.
Fair enough. Just as a quick follow-up, you don't think there are any female or even male cosplayers out there that are like, let's see how much attention I can get. Let's see how many people I can get to take my picture.
I'm sure, absolutely, because there's a lot of people that get into this community, and as recently as this one crazy person that's been going around the community who does it to get attention, and there's girls and guys that get into the community because they think it's like an easy target to become famous.
And also to get money.
But it's really not that easy because someone like Jessica Negri, she did not just become famous overnight. She's been doing this for almost 10 years. Same with somebody like Yaya Han. I mean, their fame just kind of came out of nowhere the last 3 or 4 years. So this is all new. This is a new market. So
No, that's fair. I mean, that's a good answer. It just as a fan, as a sort of an outside observer, just a fan that enjoys the work and the effort. I can sort of sometimes tell the difference between someone who genuinely gets joy out of it and someone who's like on a path just trying to become cos famous.
Exactly. Which
it becomes kind of obvious, know?
That whole term is it's so ridiculous because cos famous, I guess I never really understood the term because it's yes, somebody, again, I'll always use Jessica Negri as an example. Yes, she's famous because of her cosplay, but she is so much more than that. She's a voice actress. She's an actual model. She's a spokesperson for video games. I think she's the main mascot person of Juliet.
Yeah.
So, and then somebody like Yaya Han, she has her own fabric line. She sells her patterns. She does so much more. And I have friends who are releasing their patterns and who are teaming up with fabric stores like Mood Fabrics in New York to have their stuff being sold. And it's so much more to that. It's not, so people that get into it that are just expecting that they're going to get famous because they look good. I mean, there's a lot of other people that look just as good and have just as much talent, or if not more talent. So I don't know. To me, that whole term is just a little silly because to me, it's just silly.
All right. No, that's cool. And Scott, I'm sorry for monopolizing all the time. I just have one last follow-up to this, and then I'm sure you have questions. It just leapt to mind, and I don't want to name any names because our show is all about positivity, but I'll just say that I have noticed over the years there are some more well-known cosplayers that went from, just hanging out on the show floor at New York Comic Con or Philly Comic Con or whatever, taking pictures with fans and hanging out with fans, to now they've gone to, no. I have a guest table and you now have to pay money to come and see me and come take a picture with me. So that's why I thought of that, okay, well, wait a second. And I don't begrudge anybody the right to make $1. This is America.
Yeah.
This is free enterprise.
That's ridiculous.
Huh?
No, I don't agree with. I feel like I know who you're talking about, and I don't agree with it.
Okay, I mean, but again, like I was saying, I don't begrudge anybody the right to make $1. It did occur to me, well, wait a second. You said it was, you've been saying all along how it's all about the joy of doing it, but now you're charging people money to take pictures with you.
Well,
Come on,
I've seen people who get into the community, and believe me, I understand if you need to make money at a booth at Comic-Con, because I'm pretty sure those booths start at $1,000 a pop. So I can understand needing to make money, but at the same time, it's I've known
$5 for a selfie. No.
Yeah, to me, it's a little ridiculous because, I mean, again, we're going to use Jessica Negri as an example because she's the most famous one out there.
Yo, leave my girl alone.
No, but I love her. We skipped a huge line that she had, and she recognized us, and she was like, "Oh, come take a picture." She didn't charge us. She didn't do anything like that. She was just really sweet. She's super genuine. And she's somebody that obviously does it for the fun of it, and she loves what she does, but she just happens to get paid for it, where other people whose names we won't mention just do it to get paid. And they say that they're like geeks and that they like this and that, and I'm sure she or he is, but they're using it as like I can't think of a word, but they're just using it as an excuse to make extra money and to take advantage of people.
Yes.
And to me, that's really sad, because you're doing this fun hobby and you're trying to make so much money off of it by doing something like ridiculous, like, oh, I'll turn around and pose for you, but that's going to be $40. Or, yeah, I'm going to take a selfie with you, but you got to pay me $15. Or, yes, I'll do a 5-minute private shoot with you, but it's going to be like $300. There's people like that out there, and it's like, really, like, you're just taking advantage of people now, which is sad. And I kind of wish more people were smarter than that and wouldn't like give into it, but at the same time, it's like, it is what it is, you know? People got to learn the hard way.
Going back to something that you had said about the male costumes, I think there's a real double standard with that. I've been to the Phoenix Comic-Con here, and I've seen pictures from other Comic-Cons, from around the country, and more often than not, a lot of the costumes are, the superhero costumes, Batman, Superman, and they've always got on the tights, and they've always got on the the bikini type underwear that's so tight you can tell what religion they are. But nobody seems to sexualize them. And if they act in a sexual way, it's okay. But if a woman cosplayer acts in a sexual way, well, then they're just a slut.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Basically.
the double standard of society. I mean, that's not just cosplay, that's everything. It's really everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably true. I have had over the years a couple of male cosplay friends, who are dressed as Superman or Captain America or whatever, and some people might think it would be really strange for a guy to say this, but despite rumors to the contrary, men have feelings too. And a couple of them said to me, well, what would make anyone think it's okay to grab my package or grab my ass? I enjoy playing Superman. Kids run up to me, to take my picture, and yet someone thinks it's okay to grab my crotch or whatever. So you're right. It's 99% more of a female problem, but it exists on the male side too.
Oh, yeah.
Some fans are just shitty people.
Oh, of course.
A lot of people are just shitty people. It's life. Unfortunately.
So, and Todd,
Yeah.
you have such a grabbable ass. I mean, how can people resist it?
I know. It's a burden. I charge $15 for the privilege, though.
Wow, you're like undervaluing yourself, bro. Like,
I want to be fair. I want to give everyone a chance.
Good for you.
I don't want to price myself out of the market.
oh my god.
Smart.
Dying.
So speaking of shitty people, I mean, when and Scott and I have talked about this before in different episodes. When conventions have to put up big signs to tell people that cosplay is not consent and it's not okay to touch people without asking, I think that's kind of a sad commentary on society. Like, I remember the first time I met you guys at Comic-Con, Jess, you were your first Captain America, and Alyssa, you were Black Widow. And I remember very clearly, like when we took the picture, I asked, because I always ask, is it okay if I put my hand on your waist? And I always ask that because I don't know you, and you don't know me. And I think that's presumptuous to think that it's okay to touch you, even though you're in cosplay and you expect that people are going to ask to take pictures.
Right.
How do you guys, do you just shut your minds off to that kind of shitty behavior? Like, how do you deal with obnoxious fan behavior?
Lately it hasn't been as bad, but I think it's because specifically at like New York Comic Con or Katsucon, those are the two main events that we go to every year. We know everybody that is there. Like we know the cosplayers that go there. And so we all have like the rule of like, okay, like this person can touch me, this person like stay away from me. There's just that mentality. But I've noticed when I go on the floor at like Comic-Con, not so much Katsucon, because Katsucon, I don't know, Katsucon's a lot different than New York Comic-Con, but this past Comic-Con, I had this guy come up to me and he was like, "Can I get a picture with you?" And I said, "Yeah, of course." He goes, and he tried to lift me up. And I said, "Whoa." I was like, don't touch me. And he was like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "I want to lift you up though." And I was like, "That's really nice." I was like, "But I don't want you to touch me." And he wasn't understanding that no is no. Yeah. So I just walked away from him and he called me a bitch. And I turned around and I was like, "Excuse me?" I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Too bad I wasn't there.
Yeah, Alyssa wasn't there. She would have just like punched him in the face.
Nice.
But that's just how people are. They think, wow, you're in a costume. And I honestly, I think that day I was in Magneto, so I was covered head to toe. And people just think it's like okay to touch you, and it's like, it's sad because I've also seen cosplayers that have, like full suits of armor on or have wings on their back, and people try to touch them. It's like, don't touch without permission.
I had people come up to me when I was Jackal, and some girl ran up to me and just started like hitting my cage on my head, and I just wanted to fucking murder her. Like, why would you just run up to somebody and start smacking something that they worked so hard on? Somebody had to like hold me back because I was going to kill her.
Yeah.
And I've also, like, whenever I pose with people, I pose kind of like with my elbow out, like my hand on my hip, so that my elbow is against their side so that they can't get that close to me. I just hate people in general, so I'm not going to let someone get close to me. But I mean, the fact that most people are going to try and put their hand on my ass, it doesn't help either.
Yeah.
I only did it that one time. God damn it.
It's all right.
I bring up the past all the time.
But he asked.
Okay.
He asked.
Yeah, you asked.
Todd's all good. We don't mind Todd. We like Todd.
Oh, thank you.
We hate everybody.
Wow, I feel special.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like, because I know this goes back to like the cosplay is consent or cosplay is not consent, but I remember at Comic-Con, I'm not gonna name the cosplayer, but I literally saw her from like across the place, like the area that we were in, and I was staring at her the whole time. I was like, wow, she is gorgeous, and I don't know her, but like I want to know her, and girl crushes. And she finally came up to me and she was like, "Listen," she's like, "I don't want this to sound really weird, but I think you're really hot." And I'm like, "Oh my God," I was thinking the same thing. And she's like, can I just like touch your cleavage? And I was like, "Oh my God, thank God," because I wanted to do that too. So I mean, there's mutual understanding, especially with women when it comes to that stuff, because a lot of people think like women try to pit each other against each other, but in reality, we just like admire each other and want to like love each other. So that's like the truth of the cosplay world. Like every girl like wants to look at each other and touch each other and be friends with each other, and then there's the outside people that are like, no, we're gonna get them to hate each other and blah 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 blah. So I think, like, going back to what your question is, I think that's why some people think it's okay to touch you, because they see that everybody's very close, but they also don't know like the relationships between those people, so that's why they assume like, oh, I can do that because.
But it's also just people assume you're there for them.
Yeah.
People don't realize that you're a person.
Yeah.
And that you're not there for them.
Yeah.
I don't do this for anybody else than me. Back off.
It is so interesting how conventions, like not just cosplay, like I go to a lot of film festivals and horror conventions where people are in costume, and it really does change people's behavior. Like a person that would probably not walk up to a random girl on the street and touch them, think it's okay because you're now in a costume.
Yeah.
I personally don't understand that. Like, at the end of the day, a stranger is a stranger. Like, hey, look, Scott will tell you, I'm the first person to say I have unabashed admiration for pretty women, But at the end of the day, I try to maintain a level of respect. I love taking pictures with cosplayers, and not just women. That dude with the Hulkbuster armor at the last New York Comic Con was unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Unbelievable. So I'm like, oh my God, I have to take a picture next to this guy just because the amount of work that went into it. Mm-hmm. But I just find that odd, how behavior changes in certain environments.
Yep. And it's true because I think a lot of these people think, okay, well, you're dressed up as, we'll say, I'll use my Power Girl as an example. Like, people come up to me and they're like, oh my God, Power Girl, like, I love Power Girl, blah, 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 blah. So they think you're the character, but they don't realize that, like, if Power Girl was real, she would probably punch him in the face.
True.
Honestly, because a lot of these characters, it's like, they're fictional, but, like, they're humans, but they look at you as the character as, like, a celebrity kind of thing. Like, I'm meeting my favorite superhero, or I'm meeting this, or I'm meeting that. Because I've seen, and with male cosplayers, I've seen fans go up to them and just, like, start grabbing their capes or start grabbing, like, their belts and things like that. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, just because they're your favorite character, they're not real. Like, that character is not real.
I am.
Shut the hell up. So people just assume, like, because you're the character, you're like a celebrity, and I'm gonna punch this chick in the face. So I think that's, like, why they think they can touch you and why they can get away with things like that, because they think you're famous when in reality you're just, like, a nobody, and you're just
I am a somebody.
Up. Wow. Oh my God, I'm done talking because this bitch. Oh. Good, because you're fat and a pig.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
If you guys are gonna you guys are gonna fight, I just ask two things. One, make sure you videotape it, and two, at least have the courtesy to oil up first.
Damn, I was gonna say pudding because we're fat.
Yeah, I want to be able to eat it after.
Oh.
Wow! Thank you for that mental image. I do appreciate it.
Awkward silence again. Hell yeah.
No,
Scott's really terrible at coming up with questions, so we have to give him a minute or two.
well, no, because as a gay man, I really feel left out of this now.
I will send you pictures of myself in my sexy Wolverine costume later. Okay.
I'll send you $20 if you don't.
Yeah.
I do have a question, which is, how do you decide which costume that you're going to do? And because I know every year there seems to be, like, everybody's dressed as, like, this year it's like Poison Ivy. You know, every other person is Poison Ivy.
Fucking Deadpool. Oh.
Or Deadpool. How do you decide?
It's for you, Todd.
Oh.
Just kidding. I do love Deadpool, though. He's always been one of them.
So do I, but how many fucking Deadpools do we need?
More. All the Deadpools.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, Scott.
So, how do you decide who you want to cosplay? And do you take into account, you know, stuff like Poison Ivy and what's going to be popular and decide, well, no, I don't think I want to go that route?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because there's a lot of people that do that, you know, overdo the Poison Ivies, the Catwomans, the Harley Quinns, the Deadpools. But it also really depends, because I personally love Harley Quinn, and when I did a Harley Quinn costume, I was like, I love Harley, but I don't want to do her classic catsuit. I don't want to do, like, her Arkham costumes. I don't want to do any of that because a lot of people overdo them. So I stuck with, like, a different idea for my Harley, and I know Alyssa did the same with her Poison Ivy. So I mean, it depends, because, like, I don't know, because this year for New York Comic Con, whenever the badges get released, mother effer, my lineup is Phoenix, but I know Phoenix is a pretty overdone costume as well, but I'm doing her green costume, and, like, there's different, like, seams in the costume. There's different, like, it's different fabric choices than a lot of people use. It's like a deeper green versus the brighter green that people use. And so, you know, like, that's how I make it a little different. I'm doing Lady Sif, and I'm doing an original version of Katana from Mortal Kombat, because I wanted to do her Mortal Kombat X costume, but I'm seeing a lot of girls do it, and it's just kind of like, okay, it's getting a little overplayed. I want to be a little different. So I made my own original costume, but that's still recognizable as Katana. So I think that's how I try to do different, or not different, but popular characters. I just try to put a different twist to it. So they're recognizable, but it's not exactly the same. So, and that's also why I love doing, like, my pinup caps, because yes, it's pinup, it's sexy, but it's a recognizable character.
I personally don't care if anybody recognizes me. I just do whatever my favorite characters are, and that's basically it. I just choose whatever makes me happy at the moment. If no one recognizes who I am, that's fine with me.
So you do multiple characters during a Comic-Con?
Yes.
Yeah, if we're there multiple days, then yeah. So
That's a lot of work.
Oh yes, it is.
Yeah.
We once made the horrible mistake of doing like more than one costume in a day too. Don't ever do that.
Oh yeah, I think there was one weekend when we went to a convention, and this is like when we were like really heavy into going to cons. We did what? It was like 7 costumes in like 3 days, and it was the worst thing we've ever done. It was so tiring, and it was just awful. Don't ever do it, because I see a lot of like, this is a pro tip. Not like, well, we're not pros, but
No, we should.
just like, but yeah, but just like a tip in general, like, because I've seen this a lot with like Katsucon people.
Well, at least with Katsucon, you're kind of in the hotel.
Depends, but people are like, oh, I'm doing like, I think I saw this one girl in the forums.
Someone
post.
did 14 costumes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that she did 14 costumes in 3 days, and I was like, how? How do you do that? Because
Every hour.
I don't understand it. Like, don't do it, because that
It's stressful and you don't have any fun.
exactly.
You're spending all your time changing.
Exactly. So, and I know for us, we get so stressed out. And I mean, this is kind of like personal, but like I had a really bad anxiety attack at Katsucon, and I was in my costume for like, what, 15 minutes?
Yeah.
And then I got like rushed to my room because I was like dying. So, and that was just one costume. So I don't know how people can do these crazy multiple costumes. Maybe it's because we're older now, like we're getting older.
Yeah, we're
That
old.
so it's like, nah. It's just tiring. So yeah, don't ever bring that many
just
costumes.
don't care anymore, so.
Yeah, that too.
As a cosplayer, is it a requirement that you wait too long to get started and then complain on social media about how you're running out of time?
Wow, are you talking about Alyssa?
All of them. All my cosplay friends are always crying about how they're running out of time. And I'm like, well, New York Comic Con is the same fucking weekend every year. How do you not know?
Okay,
Listen, Uri, I just don't care until it's like 2 days before the convention.
Okay.
And I'm like, shit, I probably should have done this.
so I'm gonna tell you a story, okay? It's story time, okay?
Okay, boys and girls. Hold on, Scott, I gotta get the whiskey.
Okay, here we go. So, for me, like I said, I design most of my costumes. I try to make the armor on most of my costumes as well, but I can't sew for shit. So I either have Alyssa do it, or I have my friend Erica do it. I like set deadlines where I'm like, okay, like for example, right now, my Katsucon costumes are almost done. And I know it's still like a year
But
away.
it's only because she just started doing that within the last like year or two.
Yeah.
It wasn't always like that.
Yeah, it wasn't always like that. So I was like, you know what? Like, I don't want to stress about it, because I always stress about it, and I just don't want to deal with it. But that's what I've started doing. But Alyssa, so I think this was like 3 years ago, our first Katsucon.
I mean, we can talk about Katsucon this year where I had...
No. My favorite one is the first year.
Okay.
She didn't finish her costume. So she brought her sewing machine and her serger.
No, I only brought my serger. I
Okay.
went to someone else's room.
Oh, that's right. So she brought her serger, and that serger is like 500 pounds. And the car was totally packed. And she had like her sewing supplies, like she had this, and that. She was sewing her costume up until the morning that she had to wear it. And
Well, not even that. I went to someone else's room the night before, too, because I needed a sewing machine. A stranger's room. I wrote on the Katsucon page, and I'm like, I need a sewing machine. Can I go to some random person's room and use it? So I made a friend that night.
yeah, and she like snuck out in the middle of the night. Nobody knew that she left until like the next morning when she like wasn't waking up. We were like, what's going on? And she goes, oh, I went to a stranger. And I was like, you went to a stranger's room? And she's like, yeah, but she was like really cool. And I was like, but you went into a stranger's room. Like, I don't understand. She wandered off, and like nobody knew she left. And she didn't like text anyone. Like nobody knew that she was gone. And then and I think that same year,
I never finished the costume, by the way.
no, yeah, she never finished it.
Until 2 years later.
Yeah, until 2 years later, and then she had an anxiety attack over it. But there was like, what was that other thing that you did that we were like painting in the room? Oh no, that was actually for my other friend, and that was this year. She came and she didn't finish her costume, and we had to paint her props.
Okay, yeah, but that's not important. So this year at Katsucon,
Oh, what happened this year?
I had this Superior.
Oh,
So I had to finish my costume because I didn't care this year at all about my costume. I didn't even want to cosplay this year. So I finished it at the convention, and it was the morning of, and I had to get sewn into it because I just didn't. I had to like get hot glued into it because I didn't feel like finishing sewing it. And then there was a part that looked really bad, so I just got like leaves from the Katsucon floor because there's like real leaves downstairs at Katsucon.
So yes, so she
and
stole
I stole real leaves from the Katsucon atrium floor and glued them to my crotch of my superior costume to make it look better.
And she like whips out the hot glue gun and she's like,
whipped
Jess,
out
I
the
need
hot-
you to like
Yep, and then I had
glue
just
me.
like hot glue me into the costume. It was a great time. I have really good time maintenance.
And it's great because it's like I think
They always come out great, so I don't know.
yeah,
Why change?
No, but I had a last minute thing because I wasn't finished painting my shoes. So I was like painting them the night before, and I got to the hotel, and I was like, "Oh crap!" I was like, "I hope they're not like chipping, or I hope it's dry."
Yeah, you were
and,
painting at the hotel too.
yeah, so it was,
We're always a mess.
yeah. There's always something.
It always works out. Why change?
FML. It's great.
Wow, what was that?
This is why no one should ever hang out with
Oh,
us.
and remember that time we went to New York Comic Con and she was sewing the pockets of her Cyclops costume.
No, that was done beforehand. I had to finish
You were doing something.
Spider-Man corset in the stairwell of the New York Comic Con hotel because I needed to hammer in the eyelets in the stairwell on cement floor.
Yep, I remember that too.
Fun times.
Oh God, we're such a mess. It's
Basically.
fantastic.
I'm just giggling like a mental patient. Don't mind me.
It's okay.
It sounds like you had to learn a whole bunch of sewing when you started doing the cosplay.
I actually kind of knew how to sew because I had like a sewing class in middle school, but all we ever learned was how to sew a pillow. So I kind of just went from there.
Shit, I took sewing in middle school. Doesn't mean anything.
I know it really doesn't. So I kind of just was like, "Hey, I can make a pillow. Let's try and make a costume now." And I guess it worked. I really had like no help. I just kind of like winged it,
Basically.
and it worked somehow. I'm still not even sure how.
That's why it takes you like 5 years to do a costume.
Yeah, because I don't know what I'm doing still.
Do you have a favorite costume that you've done?
I think I'm
You're gonna answer that one for me?
no. Well, yours is definitely Jackal.
Well, yeah, but sewing wise though, I don't know.
I know
Wearing wise, it would be Jackal, but sewing wise, I don't know my skill.
my favorite thing that I've helped you make was not help you made, but I painted your Jackal cage. I was pretty proud of that one.
Yeah, it looks really good.
My favorite costume to wear is I think my Magneto. I love my Magneto. I pick up all the bitches in that. I think it's because of the cape. It's the cape. No, but I also like love my Sub-Zero costume, but people like don't appreciate it as much as I do.
Also, you're Frost, remember?
Fuck people. Oh my God, I hate people that are like, "Oh, you're not Sub-Zero. You should be Frost. There's a female Sub-Zero.
Why don't you cosplay Frost?
Why don't you just go die?" But yeah, I would say those are my two favorite costumes to wear. Yeah, so I would go with those two. Those are my two favorites. Like I have no problems with those two. Like those, I just love those. I love everything about them.
So going back to like money for a second. Now over time, both of you have sold prints of your cosplays online. Jess, I think I have every single one of yours.
Yeah.
The shrine is quite creepy. I know I'm gonna be if you ever go missing, I'm gonna be on an episode of Criminal Minds.
I'll make sure to
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And Alyssa, I have yours as well. And I have talked to so many cosplayers about this. Some of them even asked just my opinion as a fan. I have no problem with cosplayers selling autographed prints because it benefits both of us. you make a few extra bucks that might help your next cosplay, and I have a nice signed memento, you know, um, of a person that I've met and that I like. So it's a mutually beneficial thing. There are some cosplayers, however, though, that will do an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter to say, oh, help fund my next cosplay, or help me pay for transportation to such and such convention. And I have to be completely blunt and say, I have kind of an issue with that because you chose to take up this hobby, and there's expenses associated with it. Um, I guess you could say, well, if someone decides to donate or give money, that's up to them. And that's true. In the end, it's just a private transaction between two people. But I don't know. I just kind of feel a little weird about it. Selling autographs is one thing. I go to plenty of conventions where I buy autographs and signed prints. But the give me money to support my hobby, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that. How do you guys feel about it?
Okay. So I agree with you on the I agree with you on like the whole thing, I guess. Like people, if they want to donate, fine, whatever. That's their, I guess, problem. Why are they donating? I don't know. But if they're not getting anything out of it, that's whatever. I have a problem with people just doing that in general, because if you can't afford your hobby, then why are you doing this in the first place? It's a hobby. It's not something you need to do to survive. So just don't do it.
I know, for me, I'm not a big fan of like the Kickstarters.
Just don't ask for give outs.
Yeah, like
give
I'm
somebody
not
something if you're gonna ask for money.
Yeah, because right now, let me see. So I don't open up my print store very often. Todd, you know this.
I don't open it.
I tend to open it like when I want to start a new costume, and I think it was like sometime last year my print sales funded my rogue costume, and I paid for like everything on my rogue costume. And the benefits that I was giving, I was sending, like if they bought a print to support me with funding the costume, I would send them an exclusive picture once the costume was done. And now this time, I kind of did the same thing. Well, it was actually a little bit different. I had like different tiers to help build my katana costume. And I think my $50 tier, I was giving 2 exclusive prints, a card, and like and a couple other things I was doing. And that's obviously like helping fund the costume. Like that's where the money's going. It's not me taking the money and just putting it in my pocket. Like it's literally going right into the fabrics, or right into like labor, or right into like Warbler. It's going into something. It's not just me keeping the money. But I'm not the type of person that I would just be like, hey guys, like here's all these different tiers. I'm not going to give you anything, but you're going to give me the money so I can go to a convention. So that's not my thing. But if people decide to make GoFundMes and Kickstarters and all that, like that's their prerogative. They can do whatever they want, but that's not my business but I don't do it because I don't want to do it.
It's my business because I'm nosy and I hate everyone.
Yeah, that's a little for you. So, like, I get it. And I remember that, what was it, that GoFundMe for buying someone's implants or something? I was like, really? Like, I don't understand why. But
can I have that?
But the thing is, if people want to donate their money to that they're getting nothing.
Well, you can't control that. It's just the fact that somebody is making it and they're just being like, pay me for this.
Well, people are ridiculous. Like, people are just ridiculous. They do what they want, and unfortunately, that's just society.
I'm just astonished. I mean, I don't want to, turn the whole rest of the show into a GoFundMe discussion, but all I will say is that what started out as like a pretty neat idea to help somebody start a business or make a movie, now people do a GoFundMe for everything. Like you said,
Yep.
I want to get breast implants. I want to get a tattoo. It's like, well, then save your money, get a job, save your money, and get a tattoo like the rest of us.
Something, save for it. Like, what's the point?
Exactly.
But if people are silly enough to donate so that someone else can get a tattoo, I think, listen, Guys are freaking
Fun.
guys are guys, and they think they're being white knights by saying, "Oh, you want to get breast implants? I'm going to help you get your breast implants, hoping maybe you'll show them to me someday." You know?
If I'm donating breast implants, I want to touch them.
Well, that would be my thing. Like for $200, do I get a good feel when they're done, or how much for a motorboat? Like, you know, like.
That's the $5,000 tier.
Well, no, listen, honey, that ain't worth $5,000.
That girl was mine at $5,000.
Oh, it's so stupid.
Yeah, there's a name for that. It's called prostitution.
Yes. Start working at the Bunny Ranch.
Right.
Yes, love it.
You guys are good sports.
Yo, we don't care.
Nah, I do what I want.
Oh, God, dying.
So I have like one last sort of big question, and this is just something that I saw on some threads on Facebook and Twitter, and I thought I'd ask just to get your take on it. There are some people, like when it comes to either selling prints or making appearances or whatever it might be as different characters, there are some people that say, well, you are making money off of someone else's idea. In other words, and not you, Jess, and you, Alyssa. I mean this in a very general term. Like some guy does appearances as Batman and maybe makes money. He is making money off of someone else's character and someone else's idea, you know, or someone puts on, you know, Captain America costume. It's not an original thing. They didn't invent Captain America. What would your response be to people who sort of make that accusation?
It's funny because I'm trying to like say this without sounding like a bitch.
No, go ahead. I mean,
the people that are behind like Marvel and DC, they love cosplayers. They love them. Like this is just added publicity for them. It really is, because I think it's Marvel now that is, or no, I think it's DC. They're coming out with like the bombshell costumes. They're coming out with like, they're teaming up with like Hot Topic and things like that to sell these costumes of these artists' original concepts. And they're making money out of it. And people are wearing them and modeling it. Marvel and DC and all these other comic companies and anime and everything, they eat this shit up. They really do. And I know I have some friends who are going to be on Good Morning America with the Captain America cast, and they're looking for cosplayers. So that right there is just direct support from these huge companies. So and this is including like Disney, you know, Disney, Marvel, all of them that are paying these cosplayers to come on Good Morning America to be with the actors. So if people are saying, well, you're making money, you're selling prints or you're selling fan art at the expense of like Marvel Comics, that's ridiculous. Marvel's all these comic book, like these big major companies are in the multi-billions. So you selling a print or, you know, selling fan art or making a costume and making what, maybe like $200 a convention, that's nothing in their pocket. It really isn't. So, I mean, I don't think that's a valid argument, because literally, like, these companies are paying cosplayers to come to their premieres and things like that. And I know Deadpool, their marketing team bought out, like, or invited so many Deadpool cosplayers to go to the premieres. And Ryan Reynolds, like, he loves that shit. So I just think it's a stupid argument, because these companies are paying these cosplayers to come and show up. So it makes no sense to me. They obviously like it.
Good answer. Fair enough. Good answer. I think there are people out in the world that are just negative, and they're just looking for something to pick on.
Well, yeah.
You know?
That's just people. And
they suck.
Yeah. Agreed.
And not in the good
all
way.
of them. All douchebags.
I've got one last question.
No.
Damn.
I'm just
Stop picking on me, Todd.
Carry on, ladies.
Well,
Oh,
I'm
you were
going to
looking
ask
for
it.
sympathy from me? Oh, you must not have met
Well,
me previously.
Well, as my dad used to say, if you want sympathy, it's in the dictionary between shit and syphilis.
Damn.
Wow.
No, but Jessica, you had said at the beginning of the show, you were talking about Comic-Con, a few years ago and how you could get tickets at the door and how it's different today. And this kind of ties in with what Todd had asked. Do you think the Comic-Cons and the cosplay are far more commercialized than they were, say, when you started going?
Oh
Is
yeah,
there a
because
difference in them, and has it gotten better or worse?
it's okay. So okay, this is, I don't want to be offensive, but it's absolutely different. It's obviously more mainstream now with the releases of all the new movies, which is awesome because all these new people are getting introduced into comics and this and that. Because when I started cosplay 6 years ago, I was huge on X-Men and I was like huge with Pokemon and I liked Deadpool and like little like things here and there. I was, I had knowledge of certain things. But then when I started going to conventions, I was like, oh, wow, like now I can start reading like the Captain America comics, or I can start reading like the Iron Man comics more because I love the Iron Man movie. So it introduces a new fan base to the comics because I own the comics now. I read the comics now. I have my Marvel subscription where I pay $10 a month to read the comics. So I think a lot of new fans get introduced into different characters and different storylines. And, when you go to these conventions, you meet more indie artists and indie comic book writers. So it's great. But now it's more mainstream, and a lot of people I think are kind of not a lot of people, but a good amount of people are just doing it to kind of like leech on because they're like, oh, well, this is something that I can like potentially make money in, when in reality it's not everybody's as lucky as Yaya Han or Jessica Nigri or other cosplayers that have that fame, but who've been doing this for years and years and years before it became super mainstream. So I mean, I think it's a good thing because there are a lot of people that are getting introduced into the X-Men comics now, something that I've been into since I was like 8 years old, and other people I can share that with who are newer fans, and we can talk and things like that. But I'm not gonna lie, like I think it's gotten worse because now a lot of people are just, in my eyes, they're kind of doing it for the wrong reason. Like where I love to go to conventions to have a good time, a lot of people are there just for business, and they don't really go to meet friends, and they just really don't care. They're just kind of there to get their picture taken and call it a day, and try to make it a popularity contest. And they also show that by being rude to people, because I've had a lot of cosplayers be super negative either to me or to other friends because they think that they are better than you. Like I've had cosplayers completely blatantly ignore me or just be a douchebag to me because they didn't think I was like good enough to be around them. So when I first started, again, 6 years ago, I think I want to say my first 3 years up until up until 2014, I loved it. It was something I always wanted to do. But 2015 and now 2016, it's just, I'm kind of losing the feel for it just because a lot of people's attitudes are changing and a lot of people are just getting nasty about it.
And because Alyssa doesn't care as much anymore, and obviously I am the main reason for Jess to do anything because I am the biggest important thing in her life.
And that right there is a big load of bullshit. But yeah.
I try.
It's just very hard these days to find people that are very like genuine about it and who are really cool with you. And it's I've noticed probably, in like the last 2 years, a lot of people are just making it very cliquey and very who's more popular and who's this, who's that. And when I started 6 years ago, everyone was like, oh my God, like I love your costume. I have no idea what you are, but I love you anyway. Like it was a lot more open, and it was a lot more accepting than it kind of is now, because now everybody's just like trying to well, not everybody, but a lot of people are just trying to compete with one another and try to be more popular than the other, when it's like, I'm just here to have fun. Like, I don't Why are you like why? But that's just my mentality. I do it to have fun. And other people just do it because they want to get paid and they're just trying to take people's money. And I don't know, but that's just me.
All right. Well, I think the takeaway from today's show is if I want somebody to touch my junk, I need to dress up as Sailor Moon.
Yes.
No, you can't dress up as Sailor Moon. You need to find somebody else. She needs to wear like you need to go as like Power Girl. Go as Power Girl or Zatanna.
All right.
Or somebody who has like their vagina out. Like that's who you need to go as.
Oh God! I've got. You don't even want to know the images I have in my brain right now. I've got to go give myself a lobotomy when this show's over. God. Scott Colbert as Power Girl. Yeah.
So awesome.
Image is so severe. Image is so severe, even Viagra won't help you.
Oh.
Yes.
No. Ew.
So on that note, where can people find you guys on social media?
Well, Alyssa's on Facebook and Instagram, and if you want to follow
Twitter.
Yeah, she's on Twitter if you want to hear her bitch about everything.
Yeah, that's all I do on Twitter.
Please, I was married for 10 years. I'm used to that, so.
Oh my god.
Not a problem.
I know I have a Twitter account, but I don't know how to use it, so I don't go on it. I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook. But I rarely update because
you should probably give like the thing where people can follow you, like how to find you.
Yo, but Todd's got this.
Oh my god.
We'll listen. I will make it easy. We'll post the links. I'll give them to Scott, and we'll post the links when we post.
Do all the work.
Yo, but I'm lazy. I don't even know my stuff.
Right. Well, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and it's Arleia Cosplay. Since I'm not a bitch like Jess, who is JC Cosplay, who you should never follow because she's a bitch. She also has some really rude person that comments on all of her pictures.
And her name is Arleia Cosplay.
Her name is Arleia Cosplay. So you should probably watch out for her.
I thought you were going to say me.
No.
I'm just the creepy, stalky one.
No, Alyssa, if you leave like one nasty... No, hold on.
God, Todd, you should go write a really horrible comment on Jess's thing so I can just write something really mean to you and make people be like, yo, damn.
I'm doing it right now.
Yes! Alyssa's so bad to the point where some guy said something really disgusting.
Okay, hold on. I'll tell the story. There was some person who, somebody wrote something about Jess on, obviously, because we were on Jess's page. And so I commented back, and he just, I think we just both told him that that he just needed to stop, and, like, Jess obviously wasn't interested in it. So he got angry, and so me being me and the lovely person that I am, threatened his life because I don't do anything half-ass. And he was just like, oh, you're just some, like, computer, you're just talking shit on the internet, like, you won't do anything. And we were at Katsucon at the time, and I'm like, so are you at Katsucon? Because come find me, and I will gladly actually do this to you. Like, I'm not playing around. And instead of it, like, saying anything back, he went onto my personal Facebook page and found my job, and he messaged my job and told them...
You threatened to stab him, that's what it was?
I threatened to cut his neck. So he told my job, and he was like, so you have this employee that you should probably check on because she's threatening to cut people's throats. And my boss messaged me, and he goes, we got this really interesting message, and I don't know what this means. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to lose my job. It was the most terrifying thing, but then I told him how this guy was just, like, harassing me and Jess, and that I am not the nicest person when shit like that happens, and so obviously I said some words. And he goes, oh, okay. And that was it. So yeah, that was fun. That was fun.
Alrighty then. Folks, no one was harmed in the recording of this show.
Cut his throat. Wow, rude. No, he has in, like, actual voice.
I will still do it.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yep. That's Alyssa.
So yeah, on that note. Oh, look, I think we're out of time.
Oh no, what a mess.
It's been a lot of fun having you on. This has been a blast.
It has.
Thank you for having us.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks for being on. And I'm very happy because we haven't had any fuck-ups on the show. This
Except for
actually
Todd.
went.
Oh, wrecked.
This went very smoothly for a change.
I am going to protest outside your. Whenever I see you guys at Comic-Con, I'm going to protest.
Good.
And I'm gonna be like,
Do we know this person? Get him removed.
yeah,
I'm like-
he is harassing us.
Yeah.
He touched me.
Didn't ask.
Wow.
Cosplay is not consent. There goes your press badge, Todd.
He's violating his restraining order.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I'm going right on both of your Facebook pages right now.
Ban him, ban hammer.
That's it.
Yes, yes. Oh, fun times, fun times.
So anyway,
All right. Well, I think we will close this out. What do you say, Todd?
I think so.
I hate to because it's actually been a lot of fun.
It has been.
And if you've had as much fun as we've had, go ahead and check out the other podcasts that we have at thesupermats.com. And until next time, may all of your journeys be filled with pure imagination.